Now, one of the most shocking thing I read about this case that just blew my mind was they found a bite in her hair. And he would later narrate that every time he killed his victims, he threw over them in that eye. Quite a number of girls do this. Girls attracted to men. You meet a guy and he seems nice. He seems decent. He says the right things. And you're like, let me give this guy a try. Let me give it a big chance. And they're not having a good time and seeing each other the next day. But that was not the case for Moreno. She met a guy, gave him a chance, but never knew that she would not wake up to see the next day. Hi, my name is Lapa. Welcome to my new series where I share with you some crazy cases and stories from around the world. If you love listening to stories like this, or you just want to spread awareness about victims and just the bad shit and things that happen around the world, you're welcome. Worry what consider subscribing and being a part of family. Today we're talking about a case that happened in Nigeria, Port Harcourt to be specific, in the year 2019. Mori Ewuru is the person we are focusing on today. Although this case involves a lot more victims, but I could personally find more stories about Mori Ewuru online when I did my research. Now, Mori Ewuru was a woman in her late 20s, early 30s. We just knew she was middle aged and she had a child. There isn't much about her online, but one thing is clear. She would check in into a hotel room that she booked by herself, walked into it, or would never walk back out. On a faithful night, she agreed to meet a man named Precious David. Now, she met this man. We have no specifics on how they met, but it was not a relationship per se. It was more of a casual meeting. Now, investigation said that he disguised himself as a military personnel and then met her, told her that, oh, let's have a good night together, promise to take care of her and also give her money for spending the night with her at an hotel. And she agreed. She showed up at the venue. She booked the hotel. Investigators say she was one that booked the hotel herself and the room was booked in probably I mean, but she booked the hotel herself, booked a friendly man to come in. And all that was in my mind was just to have a good time, get the money she was promised, and leave the next day. Probably, watch a movie, have sex, eat, drink, and what couples do for fun overnight, especially when it's like a casual relationship, a casual meetup. But Gracious David had a different plan in mind. So they got food, they walked into the room, perhaps saw a movie, relaxed, did what they came there to do, probably had intimate relations, and went to bed. Well, Maurice went to bed, but Gracious David most definitely did not go to bed. In the middle of the night, Maureen woke up to something terrifying. She woke up to David, Gracious David, tying her up, tied up her legs and her arms with the pillowcase of the hotel that they had just laid on or just used to sleep. And investigator said he tore the pillowcases and he used it to tie her arms together and her feet together and then used it to walk around and leg and began to suffocate the life out of her. I'm sure Maurice would have struggled as much as she could. And yeah, after he did that, report said that he would go through her bag and rub out all the things she had in her bag and take it with her and left in the morning. He walked out like nothing happened. He didn't even tell the hotel staff he was checking out or so. He just left. Now, when like later on there, they are sure to see the videos, what is around a certain time in the afternoon, the hotel staff usually go around looking in, probably wanting to, clean off your room or other services or stuff like that. But Maurice's body was discovered by the hotel staff later in the day. They saw a lifeless body in the bed, tied up, and with he still like he left the clothes he choked her with or he murdered her with, he left on her neck and left the room. No accord from just nothing. And unfortunately, this was Gracious David method. He was a serial killer. Maurice Erin was not his first victim and she would not be his last victim. And this was his tactics. He would always, tell women that, oh, I want to meet up with you, I want to have a nice time, do something casual, something fun. And also promise them money. And then drop on offer. Because they also want to have fun and just, enjoy themselves, just like how this man has presented himself as a decent guy, probably freshened up his look to seem trusting, and will let this woman or go with this woman into hotel rooms, murder them, rob them of their things, and then leave their body right there and then. And during this period between 2019, there were lots of filicide cases in Port Harcourt. There were bodies of women found in hotels all across Port Harcourt, which were very disturbing, and the police had started doing investigation. The police has also ordered hotels to install CCTV camera, which is like literally the bare minimum, or like basic thing you should do at an hotel. But yeah, they were mandated to be installed CCTV cameras all around the hotel so that they can, catch any suspicious activity that may happen. Now, how do we know the story? How do we know which was David's tactic? This is because he was eventually caught. Fate met up with him when he met a young, beautiful 23-year-old Benita Etin. Just like his other victims, he lured her into beauty and promised her money, promised her a good time. When you wake up in the morning, they're meant to get money, and leave. And Benita was down for it. I mean, she's just a young girl that also wants to have fun and probably have a casual thing here and there. So you go to the hotel room, the usual, probably saw a movie, probably had intimate relation and went to bed. And just like David tactics or his routine, he didn't go to bed. He did the same thing he did with Maurice and his previous victims. Now, just like he did with Maurice, he tied her arms down and tied her feet down. And while she was struggling and shouting for help, he increased the volume of television so that nobody would hear her scream. And then he gagged her mouth. But something happened. So probably something clicked in his brain, or this was just a very unexplainable part of this case. While he was, manhandling Benita Exen, he just stood up, went to her bag, rubbed out of her items, and left the room. Like, he did not go ahead with his plan, what he had intended to come and do this night with Benita. He didn't go ahead, he just left. And Benita was obviously shaken like this because she literally thought her life was about to end. She was saved by some force that she can't even explain. The man just stood up and left the. Benita was eventually found by the hotel staff the next day and she was rescued. She got to the police station and she now gave a vivid description of what this man looks like. We not mention that the police had been looking for the serial killer that had been killing women all around Port Harcourt. She also explained her experience at the hand of Bishop David and how everything went down. So now the police knows who the serial killer is, what the serial killer looks like, and the set into motion. To put the icing on the cake, the hotel they stayed in that night had installed CCTV camera after the police had mandated hotels to put CCTV camera in their hotels. So there's a video of Gracious David casually walking out of the hotel room after he had tied up Benita Etzik in the room. He just walked out like he literally did not, no fear, no remorse. When you steal something from, like, you steal meat on a mother's spot, you'll be shaking, like, and you'll be moving suspiciously. He did not have any of this at all. And from there, it didn't take long for the police to catch him. On September 19, 2019, he was caught. He was trying to run away from Rivers State, but he was caught along the east-west road of Rivers State by the police. And my God, none of the most shocking thing I read about this kid that just blew my mind is they found a Bible on him. And he would later narrate that every time he killed his victims, he threw over them that I. Like, how evil are you to now want to use God or spirituality to justify your act? I don't know if that is what he was doing, but that's literally what is coming to my head. Sources or different news outlets gave different numbers of women that he killed. Some say he killed 7, some said he killed 13 women, and some said he killed 15 women. You don't have an exact number, but it is within 7 to 15 women were victims of Rachel's daily. During that period too, it's such an intense period. There were human rights protests about the killing of women, or the femicide was just getting intense at the period. There is a news article I read that the hotel staff found the body of the woman at the hotel instead of calling the police or calling the authorities or calling Nigeria's 991 or whatever they have in Port Harcourt. They tossed that body at the garbage. Like they carried that body from the hotel and put it in the garbage. That is how little regard we can see they have on women that they deem prostitute or women that they deem to be sex workers. That is how much little regard they have for that. Now, a little background on Gracious David. Gracious David was a serial killer. That's set in stone. And if you know anything about serial killers or psychopaths, you know they feel no remorse for what they do. And he not acted from this. He said it. He had no remorse for what he did. Doesn't feel anyhow. And always. So when they asked him why he killed women or why he killed people, he always said he just had the urge to kill and he went ahead to kill. Another interesting thing about Gracious David is he belonged to a cult called the Degam cult or the Degbam cult. I don't know if I mentioned it correctly. And at the time they were notorious. I do not know if they're active right now. But at the time this case was going, they were notorious. And the police stopped, okay. Probably he was working for them, trying to fulfill. If you know anything about cults in Nigeria, you know how dangerous and how violent it can be. The police was trying to put thoughts together was Gracious Devi doing this on behalf of the cult, the carry out this action on behalf of his cult. But Gracious said no, that all of this was his own idea. He just wanted to kill. And funny how he wanted to kill, but he never went after men like him. He always went for women that are weaker or women that are vulnerable that he could easily attack. Now, we also got that some of the victims were never identified, but this release of the victims I was able to gather and do, okay, that's where unfortunately the Gracious did. So Gracious was taken to court and thankfully justice was served in October 2020. He was sentenced to death by hanging. So yeah, that is the story of how Maureen Ewu was unfortunately one of the victims of Gracious David, the serial killer from Port Harcourt or a serial killer in Port Harcourt. It's mind-boggling that some of the details they never found. It's even you'd seen the story about the hotel staff dumping the body of the woman at in front of the hotel where the garbage is. That is how little they think of women that are victims of killings or literally anything. And you just wonder how many more will never be taken space. And films like it have been on the rise in Nigeria that is actually scary. Like it is freaking scary. And usually these crimes go unchecked. So it was a sigh of relief to see that Richard Daly was given the appropriate punishment. I am not against capital punishment, an eye for an eye. You know what? If he could be killed 7 times, 13 times, 15 times, just like how he killed his victims, I would be more proud and impressed with the justice system in Nigeria. But I wanted to call because conspiracy theories about this case, they have been lying that it was not a cause by killing this woman or it was just batshit crazy and was just a psychopath or a serial killer. Let me know in the comment section. So that is it for today's story. If you want to discover any more stories or any more cases, do let me know in the comment section or send me a DM on all of my social media platforms. And yeah, if you see a red button down, if you see a black button, but the word subscribe is written in it, tap on it to flourishes with the color of red and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next episode.